Why organizing a congregation? In the Bible, we see examples of communities of believers who gather, grow, and are then formally recognized as churches. According to Acts 2:42-47, the Christian community in Jerusalem met regularly, shared everything in common, and worshiped together. This passage illustrates how a group of disciples becomes a church through mutual commitment, teaching, breaking bread, and prayer. In Titus 1:5, Paul says to Titus, "For this reason I left you in Crete, so that you might put in order what remained to be done and appoint elders in every town, as I directed you." Here we see the apostolic intention to organize communities under a structure with ordained leadership. Another common passage is in the first letter to the Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40, "But all things should be done decently and in order." Order in the life of the church is part of the Christian witness and a sign of maturity. Book of Order Foundation. In the Book of Order of the Presbyterian Church, USA, the process by which a community becomes an organized church is found in sections G 1.0203 to G 1.0205, and in other parts of chapter G 1.02. Here are some other key points to consider. 1. What is an organized church? An organized church in the Presbyterian sense is a community of believers that has been formally recognized by a presbytery as a congregation with the ability to govern itself through a session made up of ruling elders, as well as at least one pastor, celebrate the sacraments of baptism and the Lord's Supper regularly, contribute to the common ministry of the wider church, presbytery, synod, and general assembly. G 1.0203 defines an organized church as having a stable membership, ordained leadership, and the capacity to sustain itself in mission and ministry. 2. How is a church organized? A new community begins as a new worshiping community or as a fellowship in collaboration with the presbytery. Then, if it grows in membership, commitment, and stability, it may request formal organization. The presbytery evaluates whether the community has enough members to sustain a viable ministry, has formed leaders who can serve as ruling elders, and is ready to call or share a pastor. G 1.0205 states that the presbytery is the body that approves the formal organization of the church and appoints a commission to carry out the service of constitution. 3. Spiritual and structural implications. Becoming organized means that the community is under the authority of a governing body of the church called the session, has voice and vote in Presbyterian governance, and is accountable to the presbytery in its spiritual and administrative life. 4. Theological considerations. Organizing as a church is not merely an administrative step. It is an affirmation of God's call to be a community of the kingdom, embodying the gospel of Jesus Christ in a specific place and time. That is, an organized church is a visible sign of the body of Christ functioning in partnership for the sake of God's work in the world.